My name is Clayton, and I'm an alcoholic. Um, I'll never, I'll never forget the first time I said that phrase. A room full of strangers, had to have been 18, 20 people I'd never met before in my life. Um, and in the back of my head, I was screaming to myself, "No, I'm not. I don't know why I'm here." Um, I found myself there because I I didn't know what to do to help myself anymore. Um, I'd never considered my drinking that bad. In fact, I quit every January because I'm not an alcoholic. See, I don't drink in January. Um, and I knew some alcoholics in my life, alcoholics that had drank shocking amounts of beer that I witnessed. So I wasn't. I was never admitting to myself I was an alcoholic. I wasn't. Um, but I found myself in an AA meeting, and that's what you do at AA meetings, right? Uh, I had I had started reflecting on my life and, namely my father, the relationship he and I had. Uh, Lost him when I was 19. Never had the opportunity to know him after that, ask questions, anything that you might want to call for and find out. Uh, I'd started reflecting on that, and in the midst of that, started seeing some truths of myself that I had buried. I finally admitted to some things I'd done to myself, and I didn't I didn't know what to do anymore. What I was doing for myself wasn't making me any better. So I found myself at AA with a dozen and a half strangers I'd never met. It's funny looking back because it's something you talk about. The more meetings you go to, you learn. Um, I remember thinking, how are these people at an AA meeting laughing? And having experienced that myself today, it's it's a joyous thing to walk a path to find. Um, my first meeting, though, I wasn't an alcoholic. I just I knew I drank some. I knew I had stopped drinking because I did dumb shit when I drank. So that's what I wandered into, and that's that's when it started to change. Um, I had fun in life. I enjoyed times, uh, but on the inside, I I didn't love who I was. I didn't love myself. I had no idea how to do that. I First story I ever heard in a meeting. Um, you could have told me he pulled my journal out of my closet to read it, and I would have believed you. And this was a man minutes prior I'd seen laughing and having a good time, and that just seemed to be how he lived life. And the entire meeting continued in that fashion. Folks sharing their stories that every one of them resonated with me. Every one of them spoke to something I had on the inside. So at the end of that meeting, I got home after that. Uh, the mother of my children um, greeted me, asked me how it was. And I stood there and told her that I was an alcoholic. That that time I meant it. I knew it was true. That there was a path to take. There was something that worked for people I had met, and it was something I wanted for myself. And the scariest part is when they read their steps and you hear some of the things that you go through to do this for yourself. I'd never believed in any kind of God, and that a belief in a higher power is sitting there in one of the things they read several times that night. I didn't know how I was going to do that. A searching inventory, facing the truth of every bit of the things you've done. Didn't want to do that. Making up for those things, making amends, that was terrifying. Didn't want to do that. But it all begins in the beginning. It all starts with the first step. I Luck isn't the right word. Um, I was fortunate enough to have found reason to fight with sheer willpower to not drink for 351 days before I found myself there. Admitting I had a problem was easy. I didn't have to fight not having a drink in the beginning, and I focused on what it was I needed to do. And the first step, they they read at every meeting, right? All of the steps, every one of them. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. I knew sitting there that night I was powerless. I knew I was fighting a losing battle. I had promised my son I wouldn't drink for a year. And I was 14 days away. And I was counting down for that drink. Powerless. I was losing. It was it was going to happen unless something intervened. And I'll never forget driving by the place that the meetings were held about a month prior to walking in there, going, "What is that place?" And the day I Googled where a meeting was, it was the first place that popped up. That what a set of circumstances. Unmanageable. That was absolutely true. I uh, I didn't know what to do anymore. I didn't know where to turn. I didn't know how to help myself, which is something I'd always told myself I had to do. I couldn't have feelings. I couldn't show weakness, fear. Always had to stand upright, be ready for the next thing, take care of the problems. Don't let anybody know how you feel. I was 36 years old and I couldn't even manage my own emotions. I look back today, that's part of my definition of unmanageable. I couldn't manage my own emotions. Step one was easy for me. It was. Um, that night, I knew that I had to. I had to ask for help that I didn't know how to do on my own. That was what I found in that group of people. An incredible, joyous, happy group of people. And I knew what I wanted. I didn't know how to get there, but I was ready to pay attention. I was ready to believe that something could help. Most powerful, one of the most powerful days of my life. It started the path of what it is I'm working to do for myself today and my children, and striving to be the father that they need me to be. If I hadn't walked in that day, I don't know that I would have ever achieved that. So, I've got a lot to be grateful for. It's not always the easiest, but boy, the world's a pretty awesome place when you can be grateful for just about anything. Oh, thanks for listening.